But you know what? It's the truth. I'm believing doing things. I got a bunch of my Facebook friends on my ad for my perfume. I put out perfume called Everyday for Women. And I marked it around my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, because they show different strength. My mother, like I said, was on crack cocaine for 20 years. That takes strength and a lot of things, because you know what? You have to endure to go through what you're going through. So I want to put a couple things in there that remind me of my sister. My sister lost her child. Like I said, she was 2. I have 2 boys, and I don't think I can walk around this earth without my 2 boys. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, God has control, and He knows what He's doing. You know, He did it for a reason. Here's my perfume. I don't know if you guys stopped by the table in the back. I'll definitely let you guys get a sample smell. But this is the perfume. This is the bottle. This is what the bottle looks like. Well, I want y'all to say, ooh, that's a nice bottle. So it's something I created. You know, I wanted to give back and do my thing and show my children that you can create something. Pastor Sheen see it. So, and that's one thing. We have the bottle. You can definitely pass it around. And with doing this perfume, one of the things I ran across was, how can I get it on the shelves of stores? It's very hard when you have a product and you want to get it on the stores and shelves. You know, what will make somebody want to bring your product in? It's very hard to get it in stores if you're not a big corporation, if you're not huge. A lot of people don't know when you're going in stores to get on the shelf, you can get on the shelf if you're a minority. And minority doesn't mean your race, it means the size of your company. So you can get on the shelf. Some stores like Kmart or Walgreens or Dwayne Reed, whatever the case, they may offer room on their shelves if you're a minority. So do your research to find out if they have another minority already there. Because they may sell the shelf space to a big corporation and have to give it to you. You know what I mean? So do your research, see if there's a minority on the shelf already at that store. And when I say minority, like I said, a Heinz ketchup versus you. Heinz is naturally a big company. So if you're making a ketchup tomato sauce line, you know, you're in competition with Heinz. So find out if you're a minority. Definitely find out if the retail location offer discount rates if you're putting a product in the store. They may offer you a different rate. They may offer you something different, special, just to have your business. If you have a following, it's great. I started an internet radio show 28 months ago. I'm at 3 million views in 28 months. And a lot of that's come from the play. A lot of that's come from the 700 Club. A lot of that's come from interviewing everyday people. Good friend of mine, Alan Greenstein, right here. He's been listening to me for 2+ years. And he's a great supporter. He recently started doing a segment on my show called The Stat Report. He also does a segment now on Fantasia's radio show. So it helps to bring on other individuals and other everyday people. I work in the post office since 2000. I deliver mail, internet radio, perfume. I just published a book with me and my partner, Yolanda Moore, who's a 2-time champion WNBA. She's in there. And different money streams bring different opportunities. So you want to create as many different streams as you can. So that's definitely key. And so you got to get out there and just be active. So basically do your research and also identify who and what is your competitor. When I was doing my stage plays, I had more success in small towns. I had more success in the small towns. When I did shows in my home state, New York, the crowds were lower. People would say, why? Because, you know, there's so much competition. There's bowling, there's movies, there's other plays. There's just so many things that's happening. You go to a small town, it may just be a football game, Friday Night Lights. You know what I mean? So your little ratio is a little bit better. So definitely identify who your competition is. And the competition don't have to be another person or another product. It could just be anybody who can stop you from having a potential customer. You know, so anybody here selling perfume, now's the time for you to, you know, but we got to be encouraged to each other. But anybody that can stop you from having a potential customer is a competitor. And a competitor shouldn't definitely be a negative word. It should just make you want to step your game up. If you're starting a brand, you should start a brand based on you saw imperfection somewhere. If you don't like a certain amount of caffeine that's in a soda, maybe you should do something to drop the caffeine in your brand. If you don't like the way airlines treated you, maybe you should start your own airline. It's definitely finding imperfections in another brand that can make you want to make something better. You know what I mean? I don't say definitely don't do it just to do it. And also, very key, whatever you're trying to start, and it's not to discourage nobody, make sure it's recession-proof. A lot of people don't think about that. Make sure it's recession-proof. Whatever you're doing, can it withstand another recession? Alcohol don't spoil you. I'm not telling nobody to open up a liquor store, but alcohol, that's one thing it does not do is for you. You open up a food chain, you don't sell that food, you got to get rid of it in a certain amount of days. And that's money going out the door. Alcohol can sit on the shelf, candles can sit on the shelf. We have to keep in mind that let's do stuff that's recession proof, because if it don't turn around fully, how much of your product do you have to get rid of if it don't work for you? I have some perfume that could sit, if I don't want to rent a warehouse, I can sit the perfume in my house. Because I can house it on, because perfume doesn't spoil you. You know what I mean? So you have to get things that are not going to, you know what I mean, grow with the economy. We may always need Pampers. Some of us grew up back in the days where they're creating enough to make the diapers with the bobby pin. So we may not need Pampers. You know what I mean? So keep in mind when you go into a business, try to stay recession proof. Because we need to spend as much money that we need to on marketing and so on and so forth, because the dollars do run out. You know, as a small business, marketing run out. You may record your album. Now it's time to do a video, ain't nothing left. So we have to be very wise on what we're doing and with the economy, because the people are fickle. You know, in one minute they like something, next minute they don't. You know, so reality shows are in right now. Next year it could be something else. You know what I mean? So we have to be very mindful of what we're doing. And speaking of reality shows, if TV costs, I have my own TV thing called Everyday People, which I run on the internet, which costs me less, but it can bring advertisers with your hits and views. There's a thing called CPM, which is your customers per thousand. I was just telling a gentleman who brought me up in the back, Procter & Gamble or Kraft can pay you $30 per thousand customers you have hitting your internet site. On my radio station's page alone, I'm almost at 3 million, but my total site is almost at 5 million. You know, so I charge people to put their banner on my radio station page, because that's where all the traffic goes. You know, so I can charge Kraft, say you give me $30 per every 1,000 customers that I have that you want to advertise to. Now, if you have a website, the key can be in your numbers, and it cannot be. You may have, say I may have 5 million views to my website. That may not be enough for Johnson & Johnson. But I can say, you know what? I have women listeners that are 21 to 45. I may not get them with the numbers, but I can get them with the audience. I go to nursing school and say, you know what? I got the listeners from 29 to 44. This is what you're looking for. So you might not get them with the numbers, but you can get them with your demographics, you can get them with your groups. So that's things that we all need to look into if we have websites or if we go in that area. Get your analytics and who you're targeting. One main way I get good numbers is I will interview someone from Africa. The internet is worldwide, so you can get it on my radio show on your phone, you can get it on your computer, you can get it on, anybody going to get the iPhone 5 stand online, you can get it on that. So the thing is, you want to interview people in different areas. You interview somebody from Canada. Make that connect on Facebook. Let's utilize everything we have. There are people doing great things. Miss young lady here, Tanisha, she's on Facebook. I hit her up, said, can you interview Yolanda Moore, who has a book coming out? We have to use all our resources. Or what can you do for me? Well, let's bring your magazine, Dove Style, on my radio show. So we have to cross-promote. It may not always be a win-win for you, but you know what? Somebody may reach back one day and say, remember you did X, Y, Z, or can we do such and such? Or can you connect me with this person on LinkedIn that you connect with? So if we be of service to each other, I think it can be great. And with that, then we go into shared values. Have shared values with other people. Don't just do business with anyone for the sake of doing business with them. To put two brands out there, Tiger Woods and Buick. I don't believe for a day that Tiger Woods drives a Buick. But yet Buick gave Tiger Woods a commercial. They don't go. You can't fool the public sometimes. And to take it a step further, you don't sell a porno magazine to a daycare. That just don't work. That magazine is not going to sit on the stand at daycare. So let's do business that makes sense for everybody. And it's not going to really fool the public. You know what I mean? We don't put pancakes on Pop-Tarts, so it don't make sense to put that mix together, because the public, they know what's going on. You know what I mean? I have a friend, she wants to start a magazine for children that do fashion. And I asked her who's her audience. She said she wanted children to buy a magazine. Well, last time I checked, children don't really buy magazines.
No.
You know what I mean? It's good to have them in it, but I wouldn't let that be the main focus. But I wouldn't discourage her and tell her don't do it. Children are into games, children are into Facebook, children are into fashion. They don't necessarily buy magazines. Then on top of that, if you look around, newsstands are closing.
Yeah.
Libraries are closing. And a friend of mine, the same friend that has a magazine, she's not spending money on marketing. She's going to spend all her money to pay for having magazines at the airport. Because that's the big thing now, to have your magazines at the airport. But if people are not reading, everything is electronic, you should go digital. You know what I mean? If you're going to print, all right, you're going to have 5,000 magazines in your living room.
Yeah.
Maybe print 100 so people can have memorabilia and they won't be, just sitting there. but the world is going digital now. So if you don't have subscribers, as anybody that's want to put out a magazine, it can be kind of a gamble. You know, Jet, Ebony, all these, they have 150, 400,000 subscribers. If you're coming out as a new magazine, it might be best to go digital. Now, she had a photo shoot for all these kids, and she charged them $10 for 10 photos, which is a great idea. But I said, you know what? Every person that does photos, you need to make them subscribe to your magazine.
Yeah.
$1 per photo is great, but you know what? Here's a subscription to my magazine. So if you shoot 700 people, you got 700 subscriptions. Right. Mind you, she didn't get 700 subscriptions because she didn't think it was a good idea to force people to sign. You're not forcing them to sign. You're giving them a discount, but they're supporting you too. So it has to go both ways when you're a startup. You got to get as much head start as you can, because when you run out of breath, you want to still be in the lead.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we can't run no more.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. So, and that's pretty much, well, packaging, I want to say something about packaging before I get out here. I don't want to be long. Presentation, whatever products we got, your presentation should be good. And when people see your product, whether they're walking in a room or a shelf, the first thing they see is your primary packaging. And I had to learn the hard way, which is great. I don't mind learning. And the first thing sometimes people see is your box on the shelf. So your box should look just as good as your competition on the shelf. And they say we're trained when we go into a refrigerator, our eyes look to the middle of the shelf all the time. So they say you should put the healthy food in the middle of the shelf. But if you're not in the middle of a shelf, your package and your packaging should look just as good as everybody's next to you. I don't want to not make a sale because somebody didn't like my box. I do not want to lose a customer because somebody didn't like the way I set up my books in the vending table. So your first primary packaging is very important, whatever you do. Now, people cannot see that beautiful bottle if they don't get inside this box. So the primary has to complement the secondary, which is the box. So now if you have a car lot, your lot needs to look clean, and your car needs to be clean for people who want to come in and buy a car from you. So that first site, that primary, has to be important for that secondary. So it's very important that you look just as good with your first packaging as you do with your second packaging. Because we're not going to buy a song or iTunes if we don't like sometimes the way the artist looks.
Right.
You know, people may fall in love with Tyler Perry, but may not like his plays. People may not like Tyler Perry the person, but love his plays, or vice versa, whatever have you. Or they may love everything about him. You know, so sometimes, as your brand, you have to make people fall in love with you. But it may not happen. But they may fall in love with your product. So either way, you can do it. And I'm about to wrap up in a minute. So when looking at your product on the shelf or a computer screen or a strip mall, if you open up a shop, someone should fall in love with your outside as well. So they love the way the outside of the shell look. They may come in there and see the nice person that you are and understand you. They may not like the way you do hair, but sometimes they want to sit there and talk to you. You know what I mean? Because you might be a good guidance counselor. I've delivered mail the last 12 years. Some people don't like the way I deliver their mail, but they give me a good conversation. You know what I mean? Because they know I throw their bills away in a heartbeat. You know? So basically your product should look